to everybody out there listening, and welcome back to another episode of the Cards for Kids podcast. I'm your host, David Egloff, and I'm really excited about the interview we have for you guys today. Now, this podcast is brought to you by Cards for Kids, where we uplift spirits one card at a time. Don't forget to check out our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, the company website. I promise any little bit of help that you can do makes a huge difference. And with that, let's take it on to our interview for today. I have today Larry Herring. How are you doing today, Larry?
I'm doing terrific. How about yourself, David?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, before I spoke to you today, I asked you to bring a quote. I love quotes. I feel like they have a lot of meaning behind them. I think that they're really powerful in the messages that they give to people. And Larry, if you could for us, could you read the quote that you brought for us today?
Yeah, one that has stuck with me for a long time, even when I was a child. I just heard it and it's stayed with me. It's actually from Dr. Martin Luther King, and he said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" And that's what I've always based my life around, my career around as a servant leader. It's, what can I do for you? How can I help you?
Now, I find it very interesting that so many people that I do ask this question, they've had this quote for years almost. Do you think that this quote and the meaning that it has to you has influenced your life and the choices that you've made since first seeing this quote?
Yes, it is definitely, it got me thinking along the lines of that, there's more to this world than just Larry. We have two hands, one could be of us, but the other one could be for someone else as well to help out others. And I can tell you that people that do get involved get much more out of this than what they put out. Your body will thank you for participating, especially with Cards for Kids, not only in a physical way, but also in a mental therapeutic way that you will never forget and become almost addicted to the process of what we do at Cards for Kids. It's such a powerful organization that really does wonderful things for children and adults all over the world.
Now, you led me right into my next question. You've talked about a lot of great things that you've done, and I want to talk about one of those things. You're involved with Cards for Kids. I know that you discussed that you're a board member, but what exactly is your relationship with Cards for Kids?
Yeah, Cards for Kids and we came across each other at the perfect time because I was actually looking something to fill a void for myself. Because my past life, I actually use as an inspiration when I talk to other people, my team and other folks. I have a servant leader mentality. And so I always try to raise other people up by making them better. It's not about me, but it's about others. But I still have this void out there. And, my story, short and sweet, is I've been on my own since I was 10 years of age. I was in the DCFS system, went through 17 different homes, had all the mental abuse, physical abuse, hospitals. My mom tried to kill me when I was the age of 10 in my sleep. But it's not a Debbie Downer. I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to help others. I'm helped to make things better. And when Cards for Kids and I came across each other, it was like a perfect match because I could empathize with all of these children and or individuals in other organizations because I've been in their shoes and I know what it's like. I know what it's like on the bad side, but also on the good side as well. So I've been a board member now for a year and a half. It's flown by. I've been able to get others within my circle of influence involved And the one thing I keep hearing more and more back from everybody that I get involved is, Larry, one, we didn't know how much fun this was going to be. And two, we didn't realize how therapeutic this was going to be. Given the past year and a half that everybody's been through, you name it, we've been through it. It's really helped out people get through tough times and actually set them up for the future on, when you bring up cards, I don't even have to bring up the whole name within my circle of influence. I just bring up cards and everybody knows what we're talking about. And it's truly a great organization. It's powerful, mighty but powerful, simple message, powerful. And we're looking to expand that beyond 50 countries that we're currently at right now.
Now, you mentioned that you were able to get people in your circle of influence involved and how therapeutic and how much they've loved giving back. What exactly have they been doing? What have they been working on?
So we've done a lot of things. So within my organization who I work for, I'm in charge of sustainability for the Americas. So people, planet, community. And the hardest one out of all of them is actually the community side of it. Volunteering is very hard. You can't make somebody volunteer. And so you really have to bang the drum every day, almost on a weekly basis, to get the message out there, to let people know who you are. Why should people care? What's in it for them? And so I actually try to use scientific data as far as what volunteering does for the human body, mind, and spirit. And then we talk about Cardz and the wonderful work that Cardz does on a global basis, not only making cards for children and other individuals and other organizations, but our entertainment systems that we're sending to our partners. And by accident, we've found that our entertainment systems can help out on the neurological side of things. So when these things go to maybe the neurological department, or the patient is part of the neurological department, the doctor can have them participate in our entertainment system in such a way that gives them cleaner data in a faster way versus just sit and wait. So I found that by accident, and that's really got a lot of people excited to help participate. And, lifting up one spirit at a time, one smile at a time worldwide is a very, very simple phrase to say, but it's so powerful. When you see it in pictures and video, is incredibly powerful. And I can tell you the people that I've gotten involved, they continue to spread the word themselves. And not only are they making tremendous cards and bookmarks, but they've donated it as well. So we can help send off these entertainment systems and iPads to our selected partners so we can continue to help out as well. So we try to help out in as many ways as possible as we can.
Now, you mentioned these entertainment systems, and I'm not sure that everybody listening is going to know exactly what those are. Could you describe what these entertainment systems are?
I sure can. So it's we get a hospital grade cart. It's on wheels. So anybody's been to a hospital, same type of, you see a cart on wheels, same type of cart. So it's hospital grade quality. It's got a 27-inch monitor mounted to it. It has an Xbox 360 mounted in a secured environment with 2 of the joysticks with it. And people can watch movies, engage with entertainment of some fashion or form. So they're not just sitting in a room being bored out of their mind. And also, like I said earlier, this helps in a very unknown way that we did not know. It helps in certain circumstances get doctors' data in a faster way because the person is actually engaged in doing something instead of just sitting there, just looking around, waiting for something to happen with their test. They can actually, doctor can say, I'd like you to do this on the entertainment system or engage in this or watch this. And so these entertainment systems cost us about $4,000 a piece, but we've been able to send them all over the world. And we look forward to sending more off. The last one we just sent off was to the Shirley Ryan Foundation Hospital in Chicago. They're the largest rehabilitation hospital in the world, not only largest, but the best. So no matter what your going through rehab wise on the physical side, mental side, they are the best in the world. So I highly recommend people that have issues, if they're rehabbing an injury or something, to look up the Shirley Ryan Foundation, Shirley Ryan Labs in Chicago. They are just the best to work with and a tremendous organization. And we just were able to send our last entertainment system to them a couple of weeks ago.
That's amazing. And I know my personal story is that I was once a child who was in the hospital as well. And I vividly remember that hospital having these kind of entertainment systems where it was a much older system than an Xbox 360, but they had like the cart with the TV in the system. And every time that it would get wheeled into my room, it would really just make my day.
It does. And keep in mind, a lot of these patients that we cater to have been in there for weeks and months. And also think about the caregivers. They've been in there with them for the weeks and the months. And so it's not only the children, but it's also maybe teenagers that are caregivers, adults that are caregivers, plus our first responders. You know, the whole gamut is in need of our help, and to lift up one spirit at a time with one card at a time, even though they get multiple cards at a time, is just very inspirational. And to see the pictures and the videos that we are able to get are just priceless, because they truly humble you and can actually bring a tear to your eye.
Now, I think you've done a really good job so far, but there's this person listening. They think they want to volunteer. They think they want to volunteer. They're on the fence. What would you tell them to get them over that hump? What would be your sales pitch to that person to get them out to go volunteer?
Why not? Why aren't you volunteering? You're spending, what, 2 hours on Netflix? You're binging some show that is, you're turning your brain off for a while to relax. I can tell you this, and this is backed up by scientific data. Come to Cardz For Kidz, volunteer with Cardz For Kidz. It will release dopamine in your brain. And that's the chemical, that's that feel-good feeling that is released within your body when you feel good. And I promise you, you will feel much better doing volunteer work with Cardz For Kidz than sitting on the couch binging something or playing a brainless video game, when you can actually be out there helping somebody or helping an organization that is helping the world on a global basis with our powerful little tools. And I can honestly tell you, our volunteers are simply the best. When we have a call to action, they respond. If there's a tragedy that happens somewhere around the world, not just in the United States, but somewhere in the world, and there's a request put in, we go out to our volunteers for a call to action, and we get immediate response and can fulfill that request usually within a week's time frame. So I would say, if you want to feel good, because this is scientific, this isn't Larry's opinion, this is actually the Health and Human Services data, you will feel good by just getting involved, get engaged.
Now, Larry, you've convinced me. I've got some paper. I'm starting to work on a card, and my mind goes blank. I have no idea what to work on. I have no idea what to pad onto paper. I really want to, but I just don't know what to do from here. What advice would you give somebody who's sitting down, they want to send a card in, but they really just don't know what to do?
You sound like me. Are you trying to be me? Because I can barely draw a stick figure. Now, the female side of my household, they are brilliant artists, but myself, I'm terrible. So your best friend is our social media sites. So go to our Instagram site. You'll see hundreds and hundreds of creative pieces of art, as well as our Facebook, our Twitter. Go on our social media and just look at all the pictures and ideas. And if you're looking for sayings, you can read the sayings on there as well, but Google inspirational sayings. Google is your best friend when it comes to something like that, because I go brain dead as well. But our social media sites really have a plethora of information out there, not only from a visual aspect, but also from a verbal context side of things as well, that will spark you. because everybody's different. But once they see an example of it, of the actual piece of art that was created or a saying, it just flips your brain on. It's like, oh, I can do that. And off you go, and you'll be able to do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm right there with you. I have no artistic talent myself. And I find it so, it's really so inspirational how many cards we get sent in, how many people that can draw, that can't draw, and everywhere in between. It just, it's really moving to know how many people are out
Oh,
there.
it's amazing. I've had cards from all over the world that I could probably sell in the store at $10 a pop minimum because of how creative they are. And you can tell the work and love that was put into creating these.
It really makes them priceless because
Yes.
it's not just some store bought car, which are amazing, but it's somebody taking the time out of their day to really put their their feelings, their energy, their time into this card to send out to this person. And
Yep. The cards and bookmarks, all the heart, all the love goes in there. So, like people who cook, you can tell when there's some love in that food when you taste it because it comes from the heart. Same thing with our cards and bookmarks that we send out. You can tell there's love behind it. And it's just so inspirational that when I receive the cards that I do to proof and sort before we send them out, it just blows my mind. It really does, because I do get some people that will make a certain type of card multiple times because they will go all over the world. But I can tell you the majority of the time, I'm saying probably 95% of the time, they're very unique. They're all unique, which is just mind blowing. On when they say we've only tapped like 10% of our brain as a human being, I believe that because I look at the cards that we get, and it is just truly remarkable. And I can't tell you how wonderful and the best volunteers that we have is with cards.
I couldn't agree more. And seeing just the sheer numbers really moves me. Now, you've been with Cards for Kids for a while now. Have you seen anything that you can point out in particular? Anything that really moved you? Any deed, any specific card, anything that spoke to you so far?
What speaks to me most, honestly, actually the one lately, there was a 6-minute video done by a mother. It's out there on YouTube. I think it's um, on our Cards for Kids site and our Facebook. She actually basically gave a testimonial about her chronicle ill child that was always going to hospital. And she told her story about in the beginning, her friends and family would care and give her support and all that stuff. But because it is chronic, it's going on for a long period of time, that love and care that she was getting is weighing down to really not a whole lot. But when she got hooked up with Cards for Kids, and she saw a Cards for Kids provided to her for free just because we care, it just blew her mind, and she had to tell the world about it. And that really actually brought a tear to my heart because I was very humbled to see somebody give their testimonial about that. And also to see children with pictures of it are brilliant. And first responders, our military, people from all over the world participating, any language, it doesn't matter. So I will say this, that people that do get involved, if you feel comfortable, send out this was this was the exception, not the norm. Normally we get under a minute, which is perfectly fine. But she went over, I think, close to 7 minutes. It was just under 7 minutes going on, singing the praises of what this meant for her and her child and how it helped her and her child continue through their struggles and the headwinds that they face on a day-to-day basis.
If there was one central theme that you wanted to give as advice to somebody looking to get involved with Cards for Kids, what would you advise them to do? I know volunteering is so important. Do you have any specific places that you think the volunteers should go, things that Cards for Kids needs the most help with. What advice would you give there?
Well, if you live in the Chicago area, we definitely need a lot of assistance with the sorting, categorization of our cards. It is an enormous heavy lift. Secondly, you can get involved. Go onto our website. Look at what we do. Look to see where we need help. We always need cards, but we're also looking for partners. So we have partners like the American Medical Association, Ronald McDonald Houses, children's hospitals around the world, VA hospitals, assisted living facilities, DCFS. And for people around the world that don't know what DCFS is, that's the organization that takes care of children that are in need because they've been abused from their home and they've been taken from their home to protect them. And also our first responders, we cannot forget about them, who have just, put their lives on their line for us every single day, and our military as well. And so the one thing that people also need to realize is that these cards are hand delivered. So they aren't just mailed out to people and people get them. A senior member of staff of our partners actually hands delivers to these people. And it's just white glove service all the way through, from soup to nuts. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, give you one area. If you're in the outlying areas and the other places of the world, it's always good to just make some cards. Go on our Instagram, look at the hundreds of pictures, go on our website as well. You'll see the do's and don'ts and why we do this. And we say we only want uplifting messages. And I'll say this, the reason why we say we only want uplifting messages, we have to think of our founder, EK. EK has epilepsy and he was in the hospital for many months. But what gave him joy was getting cards. But what he didn't like is somebody reminding him of his condition because he's not going to get well soon. It's under control and he's doing well, thank goodness, or he wouldn't be able to head this nonprofit, which is just so awesome. But we don't want to remind the people of their conditions. And that's why we really have to go through the categorization and review every single one. And guess what? People think, well, I don't know very good English. We don't care. We want it in your native tongue. Put the cards in your native tongue. And if you can, put a translation on the back, but also sign it and where you're from. People love a big signature from Boston, Mass. People love to see where it comes because it's going to go from all over the world. So creating cards by yourself, with your family, with your friends, getting groups together. Now that things are slowly opening up in the United States and hopefully around the world, we can get together more and do this. And, people have the wine and paint things. Well, you can have wine and card making events. We've had that. I've partaken in that with my teams. And it's a blast. People love getting together doing this. And we provide everything on our website to prepare for this. And so the last one is donations. It's great to make cards and bookmarks, but we got to also mail these out. It costs money to mail these out to our partners. So any small donation goes a long way for our partners and for cards to get these cards out to our partners as well.
Now, Larry, I've only got one last question for you, and it's more of a fun question. If you could have dinner with any three people throughout history, who would they be? Now, I'll give you a second to think here. I'll take some time to stall for you. I really appreciate you coming on today. You've been very informative. I think you've given a lot of people a lot of motivation, ways, and you've led them step by step on how they can help for Cards for Kids. I hope that everybody listening here takes the time out of the day to at least make one card and send it to us. And I always want to end the interview on the lightest note possible and have a little bit of fun with the guests. So Larry, three people to have dinner with. Who are they?
One, Abraham Lincoln. I would have loved to know what it was like to go through what he went through in such a hard time during that time period. He wasn't a perfect person, but he tried to do the best that he could. And I think he could have taught a lot of humanity just by the way he carried himself. A second one actually is Sister Teresa. If you look at the work that she did, her entire life is just mind blowing. And to have that dedication to serving the others versus even looking at herself is beyond inspirational. And then lastly, but this would have to be a twofer because I come from the IT industry. I'd like to see Steve Jobs and Wozniak talk about the inspiration because they did come from where I currently am employed. And I'd love to hear their story with, the behind the scenes look of why did they come to where I'm employed? Why did they leave? What inspired them and got them off into this road of success? And so I think if you look at two of the three, it fits who I am. Servant leadership. It's who I am. And I think if more people took that up and cared more about others than themselves, you'd be blessed much more from above than what you put out. And I look forward to the next few months, few years, the rest of my life to continue to volunteer for Cardz For Kidz and lift one spirit up, one card at a time, and let's turn that frown upside down and put a big smile on that face.
Well, thank you so much, Larry, for taking the time to do an interview with us today. And with that, this episode of the Cardz For Kidz podcast has come to an end. Thank you for listening. I encourage you all again to check out our company website, Instagram, Facebook, all social media to learn more about us and what we do. My name's David Egloff, and I'll talk to you next time.